My question, Mr. Speaker, is for the minister responsible for residential tenancies. The minister, no doubt, is aware of the case of Marion Cook, a 78-year-old living in an apartment in Lower Sackville, who, following a couple of ambulance calls that the building management found inconvenient, received a notice from her landlord that she would have to leave her apartment at the end of next month at the conclusion of her fixed-term lease. And like thousands of people in Nova Scotia, Mrs. Cook didn't even know she'd ever signed a fixed-term lease. And so her daughter told the media she cried and cried and cried. She was just telling me how much she loves it there. How can the government continue to allow seniors like Marion Cook to be preyed upon by landlords abusing fixed-term leases?
The Honourable Minister of Service, Nova Scotia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And as I indicated at a bill briefing this morning, there is a small minority of both tenant and landlords that do not always follow the rules of the residential tenancy program. I acknowledge that there is, on occasion, landlords that use for unintended purposes fixed-term leases, Mr. Speaker. I think that's been compounded by the 2% rent cap that has existed since the former government, Mr. Speaker. I'm hopeful that the increase that we've proposed today in legislation will provide some relief to landlords, but also by protecting tenants in our province, Mr. Speaker. And if that issue continues in the future, we'll certainly collaborate and engage with our stakeholders and address it in the future. Thank you very much.
The Honourable Member for Halifax-Chebucto.
On occasion, Mr. Speaker, the odd case, Mr. Speaker, let the record show that these were the minister's words. And the minister will also be familiar with the situation of Wanda and Alan Burns. They're the former building superintendents on Walker Avenue in Lower Sackville, who, when the landlord used relatively minor water damage as an excuse to evict every single last tenant in the building, they refused to pass out the eviction notices because they said they thought, these were their words, it would be morally wrong, and they lost their job in their apartment as a result. Ms. Burns said, these are our seniors. They're being put out of their homes. Alan and I could not sleep at night and put our head on a pillow knowing they have no home. I couldn't be part of that. What kind of government allows a giant loophole in the law that is actually incentivizing landlords to evict seniors from their homes?
The Honourable Minister of Service, Nova Scotia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I think let's just breathe and take the temperature down a little bit, Mr. Speaker. I certainly appreciate.
Order, please. The Minister of Service, Nova Scotia, has the floor. The Honourable Minister of Service, Nova Scotia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I certainly appreciate the member opposite bringing forward the concerns to the floor of the legislature, Mr. Speaker. This is an across-government issue that we're tackling head-on. The housing crisis in Nova Scotia is real. We're working across departments to address the needs of improving availability of housing in Nova Scotia. Therefore, by improving affordability of housing in Nova Scotia, Mr. Speaker, we're investing in affordable housing. Last week, it was announced by the Department of Municipal Affairs and Housing, 236 affordable housing units across this province, Mr. Speaker. We will continue to engage with our tenant and landlord groups on ways to modernize and strengthen the residential tenancy program. Thank you very much.
The Honourable Member for Hammonds Plains